Turn-based RPGs have been a staple in the video game industry for a long time. Many genres have evolved, and some have been reduced or modified, depending on your perspective, into gameplay elements features such as stealth games. Stealth games are not as widespread as they used to be, but stealth mechanics instead exist in a lot of games. We are all too familiar, after all, with the sneak behind enemy and press a button to neutralize them while not getting caught. And now some genres, while not exactly quote-unquote dead, are far from what they used to be during their peak of popularity, such as RTS games. Turn-based RPGs, however, are here to stay, and hilariously, most of them have not deviated beyond the identity that is tied to their genre. Translation, you are still taking turns in these RPGs. Now, be it a Shin Megami Tensei game, Dragon Quest, or any Final Fantasy game before 15, Honkai Star Rail, or commenting on a post on social media, turn-based RPGs or games are still here to stay and are very popular. Memes aside, games that can be considered turn-based won't be counted here. So I speak about turn-based RPGs based on the genre that defines the game. To some extent, online card games like Magic the Gathering, Yu-Gi-Oh!, they can be interpreted as turn-based RPGs, but of course their primary identity or genre is not defined by that. Now, some games, however, like Yakuza Like a Dragon, did not even start as a turn-based RPG. The Yakuza franchise has always been identified as an action-adventure beat-em-up game. It's only with the start of the Kasuga Ichiban saga that the franchise changed drastically into a turn-based RPG, which, by the way, started as an April Fool's joke. Well, in the end, Sega got the last laugh because it turned out to be a very big success, with the inclusion of more active reaction elements in turn-based battles like perfect blocking and QTEs for some attacks. With the huge success of turn-based RPGs in one single year in 2024, such as Persona 3 Reload and Metaphor, it was very clear that the popularity and desire for people to play turn-based RPGs has not waned. All of a sudden, Expedition 33 enters the fray, revealing itself during a time after Persona 3 Reload released, and while people were awaiting the release of Metaphor, the game's reveal trailer did get a huge chunk of attention even beyond RPG fans. Basically, anyone who was watching this trailer, even if they were not an RPG fan, they were intrigued and it did capture their attention. It exploded in popularity, and with a lot of critical acclaim on release and weeks after, many people have played it, and those who have not have seen or heard enough praise to try it out themselves after they cleared up their backlog. Having played it, I vividly remember telling Foxtrots, who did ask me if I was going to play and stream Expedition 33. And at that time, I was kind of tapped out of turn-based RPGs, what with Persona 3 Reload and Metaphor releasing in the same year. Even though I did not play either of those, I simply did not have the itch for turn-based RPGs. But I was closely keeping an eye on it, especially after the success of the aforementioned turn-based RPGs. Even I could not ignore the volume of praise that the game got, so I decided to try it out myself after playing a huge chunk of Oblivion Remastered that released on the same week and hilariously did not hurt the sales or optics of Expedition 33, and in my opinion, I think it helped in some way. Before we paint the picture, let me first inform you about the review you are about to read and or watch. Now, I played the game from start to finish on the hardest difficulty, with some side quests and side exploration done as well. I rarely grinded for levels to win difficult encounters, and I will explain why later. Now, this review is 100% story spoiler free, Most of the footage you are about to see only takes place in the prologue and Act 1. At least the early half of Act 1. I will also do my best not to spoil certain gameplay elements because I wholeheartedly recommend that you play this as blindly as possible. Now maybe you are here because, like me, you could not ignore the loud praise that this game has gotten and you are looking for other people's opinions on the game. Albeit in a painfully long and pedantic manner, which I sincerely apologize in advance. Now, that having been said, kick back, relax, and time to spill some ink. Expedition 33 to its core is a turn-based RPG that can be compared to mostly PlayStation 1 and PlayStation 2 era turn-based games. Now, if you have played Final Fantasy X during the PS2 era, the battle HUD alone gives you information you probably recall Final Fantasy X feeding you. It shows in the left-hand corner the turn that the battle will follow, essentially when your party members will have their turn and when the enemies will have theirs, giving you a chance to plan ahead. The mechanics of the turn-based battles are quite simple. You reduce the enemy's HP before they do that to you, while using AP, which are action points, to cast powerful skills to swiftly and efficiently dispatch enemies, which is something you may find similar in other turn-based games, where Final Fantasy and Dragon Quest uses MP, or mana points, and Shin Megami Tensei Persona's SP, or spirit points, to use powerful than normal skills or spells. Now, QTEs, or quick time events, in a way are the game's bread and butter. Now, outside of basic attacks, whenever you use a skill or you have to defend against an enemy, you will need to press a button or a sequence of buttons. For attacks, some have different effects when you fail, such as a party-wide buff only applying to 1 or 2 people, or an attack completely fizzling out if you fail the QTE. Now, perfectly timing these inputs to the gold quarter will always yield the skill's full efficiency. For defense, you will primarily have to dodge or parry an enemy's attack. Now, parrying always yields 1 AP, and parrying an attack or every attack in a sequence will also reward you with a very powerful counterattack. And in some situations, depending on the attack, the entire party will counterattack with you as well. Now, dodging normally does not yield AP. However, the window to dodge an attack is much more generous than parrying. Now, a little tip, a perfect in a dodge is essentially the window or timing where a parry would have connected, giving you information as to what the parry timing of an attack is. Defense in this game is an ebb and flow and a delicate balance of parrying attacks that you can predict or react to and dodging attacks that are very difficult to react or read to give you some guaranteed safety so that the next time the attack is done, you have more confidence or the capability to parry it outright for better rewards, be it AP and counterattacks. Now, party members in this game, for better or for worse, depending on your perspective, preference, and expectations, are not missable. Now, all party members in the game will naturally be recruited into the team as you progress the story. So that means you will not miss out on your Yuffie's or Vincent's, and the battle also does not end when the protagonist falls in the battle while your other party members are surviving. Eventually, your party will be big enough where you will have 2 teams. A team can compromise of a maximum of 3 members, and when that team is wiped out, the second team can come in to make your last stand if you so choose. Now, you might be wondering, why would I not choose to do so? You might ask, well, maybe it's for people like me who are dreadfully stubborn and I want to have a perfect boss battle, or perhaps you are not comfortable losing a team so early on in a fight that you would rather start the battle again and do better so that the rest of the battle is smooth, instead of trying to mount a comeback when the boss is at like 90% health. As you defeat enemies, you will earn experience points and level up. And when you do level up, you will be able to freely allocate your points as you so choose. Now, each stat or ability describes clearly what benefits it gives your character. And this is where choosing your weapon comes into play. Now, weapons have different affinities and elements because enemies also have different resistances and vulnerabilities. Very important are the affinities, where 1 or 2 stats of your character give damage bonuses to the weapon. For example, if a weapon's affinity is defense and luck, that means that your character's stat allocation, ideally, should favor defense and luck in particular if you want to maximize that weapon's potential. Thankfully, the game is generous with stat resetting items, and you can do so freely in save points scattered throughout the game. Other than your stats and your weapons, there are also perks called Pictos. Every character can equip 3 Pictos with no cost, and any more Pictos you may want to equip will cost you Lumina points, which is a common currency in the game that you must consume to increase the Lumina of your characters. The higher the Lumina, the more Pictos they can equip. Now, Pictos have varying effects and can cater to many kinds of builds. Some Pictos are very solo heavy, giving you benefits and buffs when your character is the only character left in the party. Now, some center around parrying, which means that they increase your counterattack damage, they increase the amount of AP you gain on parrying, and so on. Some focus on giving you AP for triggering certain things in battle. Now, that could be triggering a breaking a character's stance, staggering them, etc. And some can even make your character give buffs or debuffs when they fall in battle. Honestly, creativity here is your best friend, and whatever build you may think of being a build that does not require but a build that doesn't rely or require parrying or even dodging, you can do that. This game most likely has the Pictos you may want or need to make your dream build a reality. Now, beyond the battle, let's move on to the second-to-second experience that is the story, storytelling, visual presentation, and of course, the music of the game. I've mentioned earlier that this will be spoiler-free, story spoiler-free, and I will do my best to keep it that way. Now, if you have watched the trailer of the game, the premise is very simple. You are Expedition 33, and your goal is to make your way to the paintress and to stop her from painting. The game uses in-game rendering for its cutscenes, so just about every dialogue or scene will seamlessly transition from battle or exploration. Now, thankfully, this game, in its infinite wisdom, has a pause button for cutscenes. So if you need to, you can. Visually, the game has a wide variety of colors, vistas, and biomes. From lush forests, reefs, worn-down cities to a quaint village of battle-hungry gestrels. The way the game uses color also balances the tone of the game. Areas give you a feeling of happiness and excitement, while others give you the sense of destruction, anxiety, and worry. The entire soundtrack of the game is available right now on most, if not all, music platforms. However, I do recommend you stay away from Disc 2 onwards to avoid potential spoilers from the title of the tracks. The game is made by a French-based French development team, so the overall aesthetic, themes, musical instruments, the lyrics, the names, they are inspired by French culture as well. You will have beautiful orchestral and vocal tracks, while you will also have electronic and heavy bass and guitar tracks mixed in as well in the game. So regardless of your musical preference, the game has a variety of tracks that should satisfy you. The way the story presents itself to you is paced very nicely. You learn more about the world and the lore as you take the role of Expedition 33. They do not always handhold or spoon-feed information relevant to world building, but they do a good job of explaining it as best that they can without looking like they are holding your hand. Exploring in the game is also very akin to classic RPGs of the past. Going off the beaten path usually yields treasures, hidden weapons, elite enemies, etc. However, one thing that I do have to say that the game could use is a minimap. Now, although the game does give you a compass, it is very easy to get lost in, well, for better or for worse, in the world. After all, as a narrative and lore reason, it is understandable why Expedition 33 would probably get lost in the world. But as a game experience, a minimap definitely would have helped. There is honestly much more I want to say about the game, but I'd like to keep your first-hand experience as blind as possible, so I had to refrain from saying any more. What I will say, however, is that this turn-based RPG is clearly a passion project. And in my honest opinion, yes, it may sound hyperbole, but I think that Expedition 33 is currently the gold standard of what turn-based RPGs should be. I honestly really cannot go back to more traditional turn-based RPGs because I have been royally spoiled by this game. Expedition 33 evolved the turn-based RPG genre, and in a very good way, they have deviated from the traditional and recognizable turn-based RPGs of the past that we have loved dearly, while still showcasing and demonstrating why such a very old, classic, timeless genre such as turn-based RPGs are still very popular and well-loved even till today.
What are we gonna do, huh? Tell me. What are we gonna do? We're gonna take down the paintress, just the three of us? My gun and your sparks?
I didn't take you for a coward.
I'm not a coward.
You swore the oath. When one falls, we continue.
Yes, I know.
When one falls. When one falls. Not if, when.
Thank you all so much for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. And I sincerely apologize if it was overly pedantic and not too informative. I really wanted to say more, but I love the game so much, and honestly, I personally enjoyed it because I was able to avoid a lot of not even just spoilers, but information that I learned naturally just by playing the game blind. And it is my hope and wish that you also play the game blind as much as possible. That's why this review video is definitely not as informative as you might have hoped, but I still hope you enjoyed it. I still hope that you learned a thing or two about Expedition 33 without spoiling it for you, of course. And as usual, please leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and let me know in the comments section if you are still on the fence on buying the game, or if you got the game, and let me know what you think about the game. Thank you all so much, and have a good day.